Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
That's Nancy Pelosi coming completely unglued because Jake Tapper had the audacity to quote President Trump calling out her insider trading. I mean, you know, things are looking bad for Democrats when even the political hacks at CNN are bringing things like this up. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like Nancy Pelosi finally found a question she couldn't deflect. Because when Tapper brought up Trump's comments about her getting rich off inside information, she panicked like someone just kicked open her portfolio. You know, this is what happens when Democrats spend decades treating accountability like a peasant sport. I mean, Pelosi's net worth ballooned to over $400 million while working on a government salary. And the minute someone points it out, she shrieks, projecting like it's a defense. Here's Pelosi squirming and melting down after Tapper reads Trump's quote to her.
This afternoon, President Trump mentioned you, and he made an allegation about your investments. I want to roll that clip and then give you a chance to respond.
What I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. He's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now.
You know, the supposed wisdom of these Democrats and media elites has always been to keep conservatives passive, mock Trump, dismiss the concerns, and act like we're too dumb to notice what's happening. I mean, Pelosi couldn't handle a basic quote from Trump without freaking out on air. She didn't deny the insider trading, she just called it ridiculous and begged Tapper not to read it. That's not how an innocent person reacts. It's how someone reacts when they've been living off a rigged system for decades and just got called out on national television. And this isn't new. She pulled the same meltdown when CNN read Trump's comments about how incompetent Kamala Harris is.
Donald Trump saying that Kamala Harris has bigger cognitive problems than Joe Biden.
Why would you even cover that? This is a person who's not on the level. He is their nominee for president. He is incompetent. Let's not even talk about the silliness of it all and the weirdness of it all and the assault on women that it is. We're not going to talk issues.
The reality is these career politicians are all swamp creatures who live in echo chambers, completely disconnected from what matters to the American people, especially the right. And now, watching Pelosi melt down over this, it's clear they don't even understand what outrages their own base anymore. Here's Karoline Leavitt laying out the numbers Pelosi doesn't want you to hear.
The reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year in 2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill.
You know, the crazy part is that Leavitt didn't say anything wild. She just read Pelosi's own disclosures. A 70% gain in 2024, beating every hedge fund, beating the S&P all on a public servant's salary. And every one of those trades, they just happened to line up with legislation and insider info. It's why Senator Hawley originally named the stock trading ban the Pelosi Act, but they later rebranded it to make it sound cleaner. And Pelosi still fought it because the whole system is rigged to enrich people like her. She doesn't care about things like blind trust or term limits because she'd rather scream at Jake Tapper and pretend Trump's the problem. Here's Republican Representative Paulina Luna telling Jesse Waters what politicians like Pelosi are really afraid of.
The Congressional stock trading ban. I guess it cleared the House. Are they just working on it in the Senate? How close is this thing to becoming law? Because last year, Pelosi, I think, was up, 54%?
So it actually was not brought through the House yet. I'm currently trying to do a discharge petition because Congress has continuously messaged on this but refused to actually bring a bill to the floor that would actually force members to vote on it. Hawley has his own version, and I frankly believe if you want to be a stock trader, get into a different career field, but don't do it in Congress. And so, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm taking a lot of heat, not just from my own party, but we're going to see it from the other side. I can tell you that I got a lot of pushback from leadership, and not just leadership in itself, but I actually received calls from other members of Congress saying that, what we were doing was going to hurt people. I was also told that I was putting the Republic in jeopardy because I was going to cost us the midterms if I brought this to the floor. And what I will tell you is what I'm trying to do is actually save the Republic. And so if you think that that's the biggest problem that we have in this country, maybe you shouldn't be in a leadership position.
This is exactly why people can't stand Washington. It's not just Pelosi, it's the entire class of do-nothing uniparty shills who talk tough on corruption but fold the second their own wallets are on the line. I mean, they've been in office for decades, collecting donor checks and insider tips, and now they're scared a real ban might actually pass. These aren't public servants, they're career politicians protecting their meal ticket. Pelosi just happens to be the most obvious example. But let me know what you think. Should Pelosi be investigated for insider trading like Trump suggested, or is Congress just going to keep playing by a different set of rules? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.